Hello everyone, I'm sure you're aware at this point of yet more savage news coming from the streets of Britain. Yesterday in Uxbridge, just on the outskirts of West London, a dog walker was stabbed, murdered, for trying to intervene in what looked like a domestic dispute. A 14-year-old boy was also attacked with a knife, and a 45-year-old man was also attacked too. Police have confirmed that they've arrested an Afghan national who is a suspect for these crimes. Now, I know it winds some people up when you have to say alleged or suspected in these brutal cases, but as I've said in prior videos, we are living in an anarcho-tyranny, i.e. we make one wrong move, no matter how mild and harmless it is, and the system will come down on you like a ton of bricks, while things like this are happening on our streets with a shocking regularity now. And what's been interesting in the aftermath of this most recent brutal stabbing has been the response of the mainstream media. Normally they do the sort of Gary Neville thing, oh well, the real problem is the straight white British men. They hammered that one for years. But it's basically become undeniable at this point that they've lost the argument. It's indefensible. So it seems that they just want to play these things down now, almost normalise them, as if there's just nothing to see here. Of course, there's two reasons why they may be doing this. Number one, they might want to inspire some sort of civil disturbance, so then they can say, look, they're the real bad guys, and ignore what's really going on in the country. Or it might be the opposite. The Liberal regime might have got together behind the scenes and said, look, we need to play down any and all savage attacks on the public, on children, because the people are being pushed to the edge, and we need to just pretend it's not happening now in order to maintain some control. Starting with the BBC, many people pointed out they didn't even have it on the homepage for a while, but they did put it on eventually. Of course, it's buried beneath a story about a hurricane on the other side of the world, the Israel-Gaza issue, and we got no live breaking news about it with updates. When we click on the BBC article, we can see the headline tries to bury the essence of the story. They simply say, dog walker dies in triple stabbing as arrest made. I used to work in the media briefly, and they do this sort of thing because they know most people just scan the headlines. They don't want to create a fuss. They want to bury this. If we go into the article itself, we can see the first paragraph does the same thing, doesn't mention the essence of this story, again, because they know most people just read the first paragraph. It takes us to paragraph 3 and 4 before they mention an Afghan national who was 22 was arrested on suspicion of murder and attempted murder. On top of that, in the next paragraph, they mention that the arrested man did enter the UK in a lorry illegally, was granted asylum and leave to remain 2 years later. In essence, the national state broadcaster is essentially taking a defensive position in defence of the Labour government and the Liberal regime at large. It's quite an interesting game to play this. You can see how much of a quisling a given media organisation is. Imagine what The Guardian's like. As you can see here, they say, man arrested after dog walker dies and 2 injured in West London stabbings. Just dies. Doesn't mention it, of course, the essence in the subheading. We have to go all the way down past pictures and paragraphs to paragraphs 12 and 13 before The Guardian think it's worth mentioning that the man arrested was an Afghan national, and yes, he was an illegal. Now, it does deserve to be said as well that what marks this latest attack out is the savage brutality of it. If you want to view the attack, you can. It's all over Twitter and X. I did see it myself. It is horrifying. And I think what's doubly horrifying about it is how the powers that be really don't seem to care all that much. As we've seen, the mainstream media want to play it down, the government aren't saying anything. And this is doubly infuriating. So I would say just be careful, viewing it. One, because it's completely savage, and worse still, it's being normalised, this sort of savagery. But secondly, it is difficult to watch. It is infuriating to watch because these sorts of things didn't need to happen. This is because of government policy. It's because of the Liberal regime. And when you see these things happen and you feel so sorry for this poor man and what's going on in our country, it's infuriating, and it's easy to say the wrong thing in the moment when you're emotionally perturbed. But the powers that be are waiting for you like a cat waits for a mouse. As I've said before, at the moment, it feels like the British public are akin to a dog that's been locked in a cage and prodded with a stick repeatedly. And when that dog finally snarls, they say, see, this is an evil, toxic dog. We need to tighten that cage, prod it more and neuter it. And then the process of normalisation restarts. This story is buried, it's forgotten, and our minds are wiped by the next news cycle. Then they'll tell us how people are being radicalised online by watching stuff they just shouldn't see. Do as we say, watch our media, be a good person and engage in the bread and circuses. Don't you know that Tess and Claudia are leaving Strictly Dancing? Oh no, that's the real news. Who's going to replace them? Maybe Rylan the gay guy and Alison from TV News. I'm sure we're all hedging our bets for that one. Big news, eh fellas? Big news. Of course, if you ever do watch mainstream television, you'll see quite quickly that it's all liberal coded. It's sort of surreptitious brainwashing into the liberal regime, not like the overt brainwashing that you get at Question Time. Remember I covered Mariella Frostrup the other day, saying she was so shocked about the dehumanising language we use about asylum seekers. I wonder if she thinks it's dehumanising for poor old Wayne Broadhurst, who's been stabbed in cold blood while walking his dog. No, that doesn't matter so much, does it, to the liberal regime? No, that sort of thing is just for toxic bigots and evil white supremacists. I'm a good, moral person who's better than the rest of you. Now give me my propaganda applause like I deserve. But as we've explored many times, these people aren't morally superior to you. They'll just do anything to maintain their utopian liberal dream of pixies and fairies. And the reason they hate you isn't because you're, quote, racist. It's because you pop their liberal dream of how they think the world works and show them reality. They despise this because it shows that their liberal system has got increasingly violent and dangerous, that they're not your moral superiors, that they're completely deluded, and they find this psychologically challenging. So they'll do anything to defend their utopia. I mean, just look at this bunch of refugees welcome numpties. They're clearly a bunch of ageing Corbynistas who are totally deluded, and young people not so subtly hiding their radical resentment beneath their loving left-wing politics. What do they say now? Is the death of an innocent man worth it? Is the stabbing of children worth it? Of course you never get an answer other than, well, there's violence in all communities, you're just racist for focusing on the immigrants. The obvious point being that we're importing a problem here that we simply don't have to. Not to mention the high rates of violence, the sex attacks, our towns and cities feeling like they're being increasingly overrun. However, we have to remember at the heart of all of this is this dynamic where they feel they're more morally superior. I came across it at university where there are lecturers like this. This is Elisa Mackenzie. She says here, I'm going to say something that no one will appreciate, but hear me out. I feel a bit sorry for Hadush Kibatu. He's the one who came and abused a 14-year-old girl and then has been deported after he escaped from jail or was accidentally released. She states he has no skills or understanding to cope in the UK. He wouldn't have been able to come into the country through any other means but illegally. Now, this leftist ideology has been taken on wholesale by the liberal world. It essentially revolves around the idea that white Western male is always bad, no matter what, and anything outside of that is always good, and you can dress it up with flowery language, but that's always the fundamental dynamic that shall not be questioned. The irony is, despite this dynamic being at the heart of modern academia, it's completely anti-intellectual. These people should be called out for what they are. They're not objective academics. They're not worthy of that title. They're radicals who've usurped the academic system and are now feasting on the rotting corpse of Great Britain, very much to the detriment of all of us. They are total quislings. So while these radicals scrape what's left of the flesh of Britain, we have to live through this Orwellian nightmare. As this attack was going on in Uxbridge, the Home Office was tweeting out about how they'll do whatever it takes to secure our borders. I mean, it just drives you mad, doesn't it? I mean, these people are pro the mass immigration. They're pro the dispossession of the British people. They're pro illegal immigration. They are pro the liberal regime. And this brings us on to the reality of the liberal regime. They don't care about what's happening in the Western world. They don't care about what's happening to Britain. They don't care about what happened to Wayne Broadhurst. They're just hoping to sweep it under the carpet. You may have noticed no word from Keir Starmer about this. No authoritative standing behind the lectern speaking about how communities feel hurt and he's going to do whatever it takes to protect them. No. We've just got to suck it up and take it. It's just one of those things. And oh, by the way, don't complain too much, otherwise you might be spending the evening in a jail cell. Don't you know that this attack was simply two British men? That's the Keir Starmer line, isn't it? We should be mindful too that the Tory party will give it the big uns soon, trying to win some favour with the public. But don't forget, only a couple of years ago, Robert Jenrick was doing his best to bring Afghanis into Britain and to make them feel welcome and integrated. And everyone's favourite political analyst Rory Stewart said we need to take in many millions of Afghan refugees a short while ago. Wonder what he'll say now. Probably that this is just a non-issue and you're an evil racist. Now I have to be very clear, because the Stasi are undoubtedly watching with their big old beady eye, that I'm not promoting any form of violence. I'm not promoting this at all. I'm just saying, how much longer can this go on before the British people say we are under attack, we don't feel safe anymore, and we're going to have to create vigilante groups to protect ourselves? As I said earlier, I do wonder if the powers that be are just trying to play it down at the moment because they know the public are on the edge. I mean, this week alone, we've had the Hidesh Kabatu debacle, the grooming gangs inquiry falling apart because they're trying to fix it, and now this. Finally, I saw lots of people yesterday saying it's time to get angry. As always, I don't tend to agree with that approach. I know it's not so popular with many, but to me, it's too easy for the system to wrong foot you. We're in a long battle here. It's going to be a marathon. It's going to take a calm and measured approach with right action. And with that, I think a new tomorrow can be found, but it is going to take time and it will be difficult. But as always, I do think there is hope. There is light at the end of the tunnel. For me, that's reconnecting with our tradition, refining ourselves and who we truly are, and challenging the cultural dominance of liberalism at the moment, which has become like a cancer to me. As always, if you are interested in these things, do join the Substack. Check out the sister channel down below, and do let me know your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel if you're new.